Tell me if this sounds familiar. You are sitting in a room full of people your own age, laughing at a joke or complaining about a minor inconvenience, and you feel a strange, heavy disconnect. You look at them and think, I feel centuries older than everyone here. It is not that you are arrogant or think you are better than them. It is simply that your internal timeline feels completely different. While they were worrying about grades or social drama, you were navigating survival, grief, or chaos that no child or young adult should have to face. You have been told your whole life that you are an old soul, that you are mature for your age, or that you are incredibly resilient. But deep down, you know the truth. That resilience was not a choice. It was a requirement. O'Day. We are talking about the psychology of people who have gone through too much, too soon. We are going to explore how trauma and endurance change the physical structure of the brain, why you might struggle to relate to normal problems, and why your hyper-independence is actually a trauma response in disguise. If you feel like you have lived 10 lifetimes in one, this analysis is for you. To understand this, we have to look at how the brain processes time and safety. For people who have endured significant adversity, the brain undergoes a process called accelerated maturation. In a standard developmental timeline, the brain slowly learns how to handle stress over decades. But when you are thrown into the deep end early, your brain is forced to rewire itself for immediate survival. The amygdala, which is the brain's threat detection center, becomes enlarged and hyperactive. It becomes a smoke detector that is sensitive to the slightest change in the air. This is why you are likely the first person to notice when the vibe in a room changes, or when someone is lying. You are not psychic. You are hypervigilant. You have trained yourself to read micro-expressions and shifts in tone because at one point in your life, not noticing those things might have been dangerous. This leads to a personality trait that psychologists call hyper-independence. This is the extreme version of, I will do it myself. On the surface, it looks like high achievement and reliability. You are likely the person everyone comes to for advice, the rock of your friend group, the one who never asks for help. But psychologically, this is often a defense mechanism known as a trauma response. If you learned early on that the adults or caretakers in your life were unreliable, or that asking for help led to disappointment or danger, your brain created a rule. Dependency is unsafe. You learn to suppress your needs to avoid the pain of them being ignored. Now, as an adult, even the thought of leaning on someone else feels physically uncomfortable. You would rather carry the weight of the world on your shoulders than risk the vulnerability of letting someone else hold it for a second. There is also the phenomenon of the crisis calm. Have you ever noticed that when a real emergency happens, you are the calmest person in the room? While everyone else is panicking, crying, or freezing, you instantly switch into a cold, logical, tactical mode. You know exactly what to do. This is because your nervous system is essentially a war veteran. It is comfortable in the chaos because it was forged in it. High cortisol levels feel like home to you. The irony is that you likely struggle the most when things are calm. When there is no crisis to solve, no fire to put out, and life is simply boring and safe, your brain does not know what to do with itself. You might feel restless, anxious, or empty. Psychologists call this an addiction to the struggle. Your baseline for stimulation is so high that peace feels like boredom, or worse, it feels like the calm before the storm. You are waiting for the other shoe to drop because in your experience, it always has. Another psychological cost of having gone through too much is a feeling of alienation from your peers. This is often linked to a concept called the gap in relatability. When you have faced existential threats, financial ruin, or deep loss, the complaints of everyday life can sound incredibly trivial to you. It can be hard to empathize with a friend crying over a bad haircut or a rude waiter when you are carrying the memory of survival. You might find yourself faking empathy, nodding along while internally feeling numb or frustrated. This is not because you are a cold person. It is because your emotional bandwidth has been used up by survival. You have what psychologists call compassion fatigue toward the mundane. You want to connect, but the bridge between your experience and theirs feels miles long. However, the story does not end with damage. There is a powerful concept in psychology called post-traumatic growth. While post-traumatic stress is about the wounds, post-traumatic growth is about the strength built over the scar tissue. Research shows that people who have endured high levels of adversity often score significantly higher in areas like gratitude, personal strength, and appreciation for life. You have a perspective that cannot be taught. You know the fragility of life, which means you likely savor the small moments of peace more than anyone else. You have a depth of character that draws people to you. You are a truth teller in a world of superficiality because you have seen the dark side and survived it. But the final and most difficult step for the survivor is learning to put the armor down. The heavy plating that kept you safe during the war is now weighing you down in peacetime. The psychology of healing for you is not about becoming stronger. You are already strong enough. It is about learning to be soft again. It is about teaching your amygdala that the war is over. It is about realizing that asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of trust. You have to learn that you are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to not be the strong one for 5 minutes. You are allowed to let someone else drive the car. The resilience you built is a superpower, but it should not be a prison. You have gone through too much, yes, but that means you have also gathered enough wisdom to know that you deserve a rest. You have survived the storm, and now your only job is to learn how to enjoy the quiet. If you are someone who feels older than your years, who carries the weight of the world, and who struggles to let others in, know that you are not broken. You are simply a masterpiece that was forged in fire. And if this resonated with you, you are probably going to love why quiet people are actually processing information completely differently than everyone else, and why that might be your biggest advantage. Click one of these videos to find out why you think a little differently than the crowd.